Giving you guys some cool tips and tricks to spice up your minor pentatonic blues playing. This is IkeGuitar, let's dive in. What's going on, guys? IkeGuitar here. Today I'm giving you some really amazing tips and tricks to really spice up your blues playing. And if you like these kinds of videos, please consider subscribing. I make videos all the time. Without further ado, let's dive into this cool stuff. So today I am using my Les Paul 1990 Studio to help show you guys these examples. Now you guys all know the original minor pentatonic scale. Everyone knows it. That's all well and good, but let me show you some cool things you can use besides that when you're improvising over blues progressions, okay? So typically you guys know about when you're using a minor pentatonic and a minor blues, you're gonna get some really cool sounds out of it. So if I'm playing, a C dominant 7, for example, I can play this. Now, one cool way to really spice up your blues scale, this is kind of like beginning level, easy level, is to incorporate the blue note. What I mean by that is incorporating your flat fifth back into your improvising. So let's play that C dominant 7 once again. There's that flat fifth. Now that's a pretty simple way of spicing up your blues scales. Don't forget that over any chord, not just a dominant chord, you can play a corresponding arpeggio. So for example, if we're playing a C7, we can play a C7 arpeggio. And we're incorporating that B flat because it's 1, 3, 5, flat 7 for the dominant 7 arpeggio. Little major 9 frill. Alright, so those dominant 7 arpeggios are really important. So if you haven't found a good dominant 7 arpeggio fingering, go look one up. They're really common. But don't forget about your dominant 9, your dominant 11, and your dominant 13 arpeggios as well. If you use any dominant chord, you can improvise any arpeggio in those degrees over it. So if you're playing a dominant 7, you can play a dom 9, a dom 11, a dom 13. You get it. But let's show you the coolest trick, I think, in the book, alright? So let's say, for example, you're playing a C9. Now, for our example, it's only for the dominant 9 chords. So I'm playing a C9. You guys probably know it. The chord formula is 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 9. Okay, it's a C, E, G, B flat, and a D. And just so you guys are aware, the C9 is really common in a lot of blues and funk music. The big song that comes to my mind is Play That Funky Music White Boy by Wild Cherry. Now if I play a dominant 9 chord, there are a lot of things I can play over that. I can play my C minor pentatonic, we just talked about that. You can play the blues note on it. You can play your dominant 7 arpeggio. You can also play your dominant 9 arpeggio. Very cool sounding, okay? But let's not forget that you can actually play a completely different minor scale over this C9. And that minor scale is the G minor pentatonic. And that's a whole different tonality, and it sounds pretty cool, but here's why you can do it. You see, a C9, as we know, has the C, the E, the G, and the B flat. And that D. The reason why that works is because the G minor pentatonic contains all of the notes of the C9 chord. It has the C, it has the B flat, it has the D, and it has the G. And that is a really cool trick to use when you're playing those dominant 9 progressions. Now don't just take that knowledge and use it only on a C9. Don't forget that every dominant 9 chord has a corresponding fifth, and that fifth you can play the incorporated minor pentatonic scale over it. So if you're playing a dominant 9 progression in C, you have C9, you have F9, and you have G. Over the C9 part of the progression, you can play the G minor pentatonic scale. So in F9, you'll be using a C minor pentatonic scale, which you already know because we're already in C dominant 9 position. Now, if you go up to the G9 to play that fifth for your 12-bar blues, for that G, you could actually play the fifth of that chord, which is a D minor pentatonic. So being able to incorporate all these cool tricks into your blues playing is going to help really spice up the way you improvise, the way you phrase, and the way you build melody and story in your solos. So go give it a shot. Let me know in the comments what you thought of these tips. If you want more cool tips and videos like this, be sure to subscribe and let me know down below. Guys, go enjoy your pentatonic scales. Go enjoy these cool relationships we have with music, and we'll see you guys next time.